Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, which you most likely are, my name is Maya. This is I think this is only my third video here that I've posted. Today's video is just going to be one where I sit down and talk about some books that I really did like and that are kind of popular. As you can tell from the title, we're going to be talking about Lynn Painter's YA books. I know she has some like adult romance books, and I've heard a couple things about those, but I feel like her YA books are really popular, so I thought, why not sit down and talk about them and rank them. So I read all of these books a while ago. Like I said, I know all of her YA books. I believe there are 3 of them as of right now, but I'm not sure if there's more. But these are the ones that I know for a fact have just been blowing up on TikTok and that are super popular, and just a lot of people know about them or they probably read about them. But if you have not heard about them, then this is the perfect video for you. And I'm kind of just going to tell you why you should read them. Before we get into the video, I would just like to, I truly do apologize in advance. There's a lot of background noise. I'm not sure when this is going to go out, but LA is currently going through like a heat wave right now. It's like a couple days where it's like almost in the hundreds. So I have to keep the window open and I have to keep the fan on. It's just way too hot not to do so. I would also like to say that I am not someone who reads a lot of YA, like young adult romance books, only because I feel like I've gotten a lot older. Of course I read them back then when I was like growing up in high school, and I love them. I mean, I still love the ones I read now, but I just don't read them as much as I used to. Honestly, feel like it kind of just makes me a little sad because I can't really get into like that. I can't really relate to any of it anymore, even though all of the young adult, especially the romance ones, I was never able to relate to, especially during high school. But anyway, yeah, I just don't really read a lot of young adult romance anymore, but I loved all 3 of these books, so I think that says a lot on the fact that I just have to talk about them and rave about them and recommend them to other people who may want to read them. I would say they're also pretty easy reads too. Guys, why did they just put a Sephora in the USC Village? I definitely mentioned in my introducing me video that I graduated from the University of Southern California, USC. I still go to the gym there because the alumni pass is just too good to pass. And the gym is in the Village. I don't know if you know like where that is or what that is. Just like a section on campus where there's like restaurants and stuff. But they put a Sephora in there, and it's like brand new, clean and pretty, and I've already like dropped some money in there, so that's like not good for me at all. But I just got this product. I've never tried, I think I've tried the sleeping mask from Lineage, but I just got the gummy bear lip glowy balm and I love it. It's like, I have it on right now, of course. It's so good, literally so cute. I love it. Let's get into the books. Oh, I'm just not realizing that it literally looks like I have nothing on. Guys, I swear it's a tube top, I promise. There have been so many times where I'm just like watching some of my favorite girl YouTubers and they're like, I'm not naked, I just have a tank top on, and now I'm like repeating that. But anyway, I don't like it. I'm gonna change. Okay, guys, I have been having an idea for a while now. I wasn't sure if I was gonna put it in this video or if I was gonna like try to do it in another video. Sorry, I just had to close the window. Like, I'm just gonna have to suffer for a little bit because it's just way too loud. But I have been having an idea for some time now, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna put it in this video or another video, but I was changing and I thought might as well try to incorporate it now. But I mentioned in my introducing me video that I am a music girly, I am a concert girly, and I love music so much. I have been trying to come up with a way to incorporate me talking about music into the channel along with books. So I thought, why not just wear like a concert t-shirt or like merch from an artist like every video or like each video and talk about the artist, because I just think that would be so cool. And I literally have so much merch. I literally have a whole drawer just dedicated to literally just concert merch. I'm trying not to ramble so much, but the very first shirt I have on right now is from an artist named Holly Humberstone. I think I got this shirt recently from her concert that happened this year, actually at the Bellwether in LA. But I have been listening to her for a really long time now. She's kind of getting a little bit bigger. I think she just toured with Taylor Swift. Yeah, go her. I love that for her. So she's getting kind of up there. I've been listening to her for a couple of years now. Maybe like, it's been a while. I found out about her from an Instagram ad. One of her ads for her song named Scarlet, which is, I think is like her most popular song, came up on Instagram, and I was like, that sounds good, let me check her out. And since then I've like been obsessed with her. This was a little bit before her like first album came out, if I believe so. But she's so good and she's incredible, and she's one of my favorite artists ever. I would say like Lacey McAlpine, who I've mentioned in my very first video, but I love so much. She's another artist that I feel I like everything she's ever created. Like every song she's ever put out I don't dislike, and that's like very rare for me. I would consider her like indie rock pop. She's definitely like in those like all different areas, and she's incredible. Like I said, her most popular song I would say is Scarlet. I feel like that's the song that really escalated things for her. Songs that are my favorite that I would recommend listening to if you do want to get into her are Overkill, definitely Flatlining off her newer album. I love that song. And Sleep Tight. I listen to that song quite a lot. And then obviously Scarlet, because it's a classic for her in my eyes. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that little segment, and let's genuinely finally get into the video. Another thing I would like to say before I talk about all three books, that even though I am ranking them, and of course I did like some books better than other books, like I say like, oh yeah, I like this one the least, or like I like this one better, and I feel, and of course you're gonna like some books better than others, but I want to say that I loved all three of these books so much, and they were all so incredibly good to me and just really good reads. So yeah. The first book we're going to talk about is The Do-Over by, of course, Lynn Painter. I think this is like the smallest book out of all three of them. And look how cute it is, the little hearts on the side. I went to Barnes & Noble with my friend to go look for this book and buy it. And I saw that the little hearts were on the side. No, this is so cute. And I think it's like a little like Barnes & Noble special edition. I thought that was so cute. Oh, I'm opening the book and I'm literally looking at the dedication. The little thing they write before the book officially starts. For the lonely, the daydreamers, the ones who find their friend between the pages of books, you matter and your happy ending will come. Sometimes the wait is just longer in real life than in fiction. And I literally put hearts around it, and I needed that because I love that dedication. And I feel like I relate to that so much. I find so much love and friends and so much happiness in between the pages of books that, you know, sometimes it's hard to not judge it to your own reality. So I really love that dedication. This book is about Emily Hornby. She has to repeat the same day over and over again, and it just so happens that that day is Valentine's Day, which is definitely significant to the story. She is someone who is very logical when it comes to life, and especially love. She goes throughout life having a lot of checklists. She wants to make sure everything is like perfect and done the way that she sees fit and right. Like the very first page reads, coming from her point of view, when Valentine's Day rears its sugary, sweet, heart-shaped head, there are two types of people who receive it. First, you have the full-on lovers of the holiday, hopeless romantics obsessed with the idea of love. These individuals believe in fate and soulmates and the notion that the universe sends out winged, mostly naked babies to shoot arrows into select, single people, thus infecting them with true love that may cause drowsiness and massive happily ever after. Then you have the cynics, those curmudgeonly, I really hope I said that right. I'm not about to look up how to say that. Souls who call it a Hallmark holiday and complain that if true love exists, its proclamation should be expressed spontaneously on any random day and without the expectations of gifts. Well, I am neither and both of these people. I do believe that Valentine's Day is an over-commercialized Hallmark holiday, but I also think there's nothing wrong with enjoying the materialistic side effects of the celebration. I feel like that kind of sums up her opinion on the day and like love in general. Of course, that is her opinion in the very beginning of the book. Of course, things happen and her perspective may change. On Valentine's Day, a series of events happen, and as the days repeat themselves, those same things keep happening over and over again. A little bit different, sometimes exactly the same way, or they may be like altered in a sense. For example, the first day of Valentine's Day, the one that before she realized she's repeating the same day over and over again, she gets into a car accident with this guy named Nick. The guy's name in the book is Nick, and she gets into a car accident with him. And Nick just so happens to be her lab partner in one of her science classes, so they know, or she knows who he is. She keeps running into him every single morning, and no matter how many times she tries to avoid not running into him, she keeps running into him, whether it's car related. I think every single time it was car related, but that's besides the point. But yeah, as she keeps repeating each day over and over again, she gets to know Nick. Even though she knows she's getting to know him more and he doesn't realize he's repeating the same days, she starts to get a deeper sense as to who he is, his life, his background story. Once she realizes that she's repeating Valentine's Day over and over again, she just decides that everything that is going wrong, she doesn't care about. And she also realizes that she has no consequences if the days are just going to keep repeating. So she starts to just do whatever she wants. And eventually she makes this one day where she just goes wild and just does whatever she wants, and she calls it the donk, which is D-O-N-C, which is Day of No Consequences. And on this exact day, she ditches school and has this like really cool and fun adventurous day with Nick, and they start to grow feelings, and that's kind of where the story goes in a sense. This book was so good. I loved it. I would rate it a, what did I rate it? I rated it a 4 out of 5. I sped through this. I think I read it in like one day. This is the second book out of the 3 that I read. I rated that only because, I mean, it was really good and I liked it. I also feel like I'm not a super harsh rater, but I thought it was really cute. Some of my favorite parts from the book, there was a thing that I liked in the book, was that each chapter began with like a really funny confession from Emily. For example, this one says, once I pulled a hotel fire alarm because my parents were sleeping in and I wanted to get to Disneyland before there was a line to see Belle. So that one was funny. And then another, I've left my initials somewhere inside every library book I've checked out since the 2nd grade. So just like little cool confessions that start at the very beginning of every chapter. What was my favorite part in this book? The fact that I can't think of it is crazy, but it's been a while since I've read this book. I would say like the day that she just went wild and just spoke her mind and did whatever she wanted. I did love that about her. But yeah, this book was really good and I think you should read it. I'm drinking matcha right now. And I just got this really cute cup. I got it from Target and I thought it was so cute because like the little strawberries. And there's pink in it and my favorite color is pink. Next book we're going to be talking about out of the 3 is Betting on You by, once again, of course, Lynn Painter. This book was incredibly so good. Starting off, I ranked it a 4.9 out of 5, which is pretty high. I don't know why I didn't just make it a 5, but it took me forever to finish this book. You know how when it takes you forever to finish a book, your mindset of it just changes and you're like, maybe it wasn't that good, but it was so good. I think I was just really busy at the time and that's why I didn't finish it really quickly. Sorry, I had to go run and do something. This book is about Bailey and Charlie. So at the very beginning of the book, Bailey and Charlie meet at the airport and they're in line, and immediately Bailey just like tells herself, and she knows that she like does not like Charlie. Even though she barely knew him, she just came up with that opinion in her head. There was a part in the book where he tried to cut the line and get on the plane with her, but she didn't let him. And so he was annoyed by her, she didn't like him, but then they eventually end up having to sit on the plane next to each other, which of course Bailey obviously did not want to do, but you know, they're forced to sit next to each other and they start talking, and you come to find out that they do have some things in common, especially the fact that both of their parents are divorced. So Bailey's parents just divorced, and I believe she's moving to Nebraska. I forget where she was leaving from, but she's moving to Nebraska to live with her mom because her parents just divorced. and Charlie's parents have been divorced for like a while. He's just, you know, giving his opinion on his life with the divorced parents. And then they get off the plane and they think they're never going to see each other, which obviously does not happen. The next time they see each other, I believe they see each other at a movie theater. At the time, Bailey had a boyfriend and Charlie was doing this proposal for his girlfriend at the time, and they run into each other and they do remember each other, but they don't really exchange a lot of words, and Bailey wants nothing to do with him. And then Bailey and her best friend's name, who was Nakessa, they get this job at this little like resort slash like funhouse hotel kind of place. It was a kind of like multiple things in one. But Bailey and Nakessa get a job there, and during the orientation she sees Charlie, but at the time she didn't know what his name was. But they officially meet, and now he knows that her name is Bailey and she knows that his name is Charlie. And they become friends. Really close, good friends actually. Bailey's mom has this new boyfriend and she kind of just doesn't really like him at all. She kind of wants to get rid of him because she's realizing that he's kind of infiltrating the little life that she and her mother have together. She comes to notice that her mom's boyfriend does not like Charlie. And she was supposed to go on this trip with them that the boyfriend had planned, and she was supposed to go with Nakessa, but Nakessa ended up not being able to go, and she didn't want to go alone because she didn't want to just be with her mom and the boyfriend. So she invited Charlie to go with her, and that's when their little plan of them fake dating started to happen, and that's when things kind of escalated between them. And you know, things progress, and that's kind of how the story goes. I think you should just find out for yourself. But some of my favorite parts in the book, like there was this part where they were literally sitting in this cafe, like in the town that they went to go visit, and they're literally just sitting there reading a book for like hours together. And in the book it literally says, "We sat on that couch for a couple of hours, literally laughing and obnoxiously reading. And when Charlie got up to refill our coffees, I realized that he might have just given me the perfect date. I mean, we weren't on a date and it was morning, but if I read about this coffee shop excursion in a book, I would be creating a whole Pinterest board on it because it was one of those kicking and screaming into my pillow scene in a book." And I literally wrote, "I'm kicking my feet literally in like my dream date," because that's literally so cute. They were literally in a cafe sitting and reading together and just laughing and having fun. I love that part so much. It's probably one of my favorite parts in the book. There are also many Taylor Swift references in this book, which I will get into. I really like this book because I feel that there were many different tropes in the book. Like, for example, I would say it started out as enemies to lovers, and then it became friends to lovers, and then it became fake dating. And it just progressed so well, and it was written so nicely. I also realized that this book was literally like the invisible string theory. They literally kept finding their way back to each other in the most randomest ways. The second time they ran into each other at the movie theater, they did not think they would ever see each other again, and then they did. And then they became friends, and then they started to have feelings for each other. And that's what I love about this book. But yeah, I ranked this book a 4.9, and I think you should read it because I really loved it. The last and final book that we're going to be talking about, which if you are a book reader and you know all the really popular Lynn Painter books, then you already know that I'm literally going to talk about Better Than the Movies by, of course, once again, Lynn Painter. Just feature me popping in. I forgot to mention that one of the big reasons why I wanted to talk about the books is because I know that the sequel to Better Than the Movies, called Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter, was coming out, and at the time when I filmed that, it was not out yet, but now it is out, and I just got it, and I'm so excited to read it. I will probably mention my thoughts on it in another video, or maybe I could just do like a reading vlog for it. I'm not sure yet, but I'm so excited to read it. And yeah, let's get back to the video. I loved this book so much. I found out about this book on TikTok because there was that little infamous part in the book, which I will get into later because I feel like that's one of my favorite parts in the book. I ranked this book a 5 out of 5. One thing I have not mentioned is that when it comes to especially romance books, one way I rank it is if I'm kicking my feet the whole time. If I'm kicking my feet and squealing and I'm just smiling the whole time, I'm probably gonna rank it pretty highly, and that's what happened with this book. I also think I ranked this book really high because I went through this weird slump where I literally just didn't want to read anything like romance related. because that's kind of what I mostly read, and it was kind of like messing with my head. So I just stopped reading it for a little bit. It was messing with me. So for a little while I was reading a lot of thrillers and dramas and other things that weren't heavily romance based. But then I picked up this book. So this was like the first book that I read after my romance ban, and I think that is why I loved it so much, because it was so cute and I was just getting back into romance, and I feel like this was a pretty good book to pick up after not reading it for a while. But this book is about Liz Buxbaum and her annoying neighbor Wes Bennett. So the book kind of starts off with this boy named Michael coming back into town, and he was Liz's crush for years, and she realizes he's back in town and she will literally do anything. He used to play with them when like Liz and Michael all used to play with each other when they were kids, but then Michael moved away and now he just came back, and she wants him to like her. Her biggest goal was for him to ask her to prom. And Wes, on the other hand, is her neighbor that she lived next to for literally practically most of her life. And she did not like Wes. They used to always play these little pranks on each other. And she would say in the beginning, she found Wes really annoying and she just didn't like him as a person. And she had these opinions about him that she kind of formed as the years went on. She realizes that when Michael gets back, that Wes and him are friends. So she asks Wes for a favor, which is for him to help her get Michael to like her, and especially get him to ask her to prom. And Wes does agree to help her, and Wes kind of tells her to like change her hair and change the way she dresses. And you know, as time goes on, Michael does really start to like her. But while she's hanging out with Wes, she starts to realize that Wes is not all who she thought he was, and he's actually really nice. And there's a lot of moments in the book where she realizes that actually she doesn't like Michael as much. She likes Wes. For example, a part that really stood out to me was when, I'm trying not to spoil too much, even though I'm gonna say not a lot, but to the point where I still think you should really read it. There's a part in the book where she gets hit in the face with the basketball and she has to go to the hospital because it starts bleeding and it's swollen, and Wes is the one who takes her. I believe, if I recall, Wes gave her his shirt. But yeah, it was like Wes taking care of her, and that's when I realized that I'm team Wes. Yeah. And even she realized, like, Michael isn't taking me, Wes is taking me. As time goes on, she starts to develop feelings for Wes, and that's kind of what the story is about. Something I loved about the book was that the very beginning of each chapter was a quote from a rom-com. And another thing about Liz was that she was someone who was a hopeless romantic. Her mom was also a hopeless romantic who did pass away, and her mom really got her into these rom-com movies that she loved, and that's how she wanted her like romance or like love life to play out just perfectly well, like the rom-coms she watches. But obviously things don't always go to plan as she would want them to. But anyway, one of the quotes that I loved, it was a prologue, and it says, "I'm just a girl standing in front of a boy asking him to love her," and that's from Notting Hill, and I love that movie. So I put hearts around it. Another one was, this one says, "You're not as bad as I thought you were," from 10 Things I Hate About You. Another thing that I really loved about Liz was the fact that she loved music like I do. Liz was also someone who made a lot of playlists for anything that was happening in her life, like any scenarios. She was always making a playlist for it. And she said that she wanted to be a music director, and that's when you like score music for movies, or like you come up with the playlist for movies. There was literally a point where I literally wanted to do that so much, and obviously I have other interests now. I still feel like it's something I would love to do, or just anything concert related or music related in general. But there was a point where I actually really did think I wanted that job, but obviously I'm more into like acting now, and I want to be an actress. I've always wanted to be an actress. I've said that before. But that was another thing that I loved about her. I mentioned this because, like I said, I'm trying to find ways to talk about music on this channel. If you have any ideas, please let me know. But the infamous part in the book that got me, of course, and that blew up on TikTok and that made me read the book was, there's a part at the end where Liz is talking to Wes about another girl, and she's like, "What on earth could she possibly be lacking? Do you want bigger boobs or something? Is she not?" And then he says, "She's not you." And she says, "What?" And he says, "She isn't you." And I put hearts around that because I love that part so much. It was so cute. That is an iconic part in the book that I loved so much, and I think you should definitely read this book. Out of all the three, I definitely think you should read this one. because it's just a super really easy read and it was one of my favorites. Now I'm going to talk about something that I loved about all three of the books that they all had in common. This isn't something that I loved, but it is something that I realized. I realized that all of the girls in the book come from broken families. I'm not really sure why. Maybe Lynn Painter can relate to that, or like someone she knows, but I don't really know a lot about Lynn Painter. I probably should, but all of them come from broken families. In the do-over, her parents are divorced and she lives with her dad and his wife. In Betting on You, Bailey's parents are divorced and she lives with her mom. And then in Better Than the Movies, like I said, Liz's mom passed away and she lives with her dad, of course. She's trying to get used to her stepmom. I thought that was pretty interesting that they all just come from that specific similarity. Like I mentioned before, the invisible string thing that popped into my head about Betting on You. Something else I realized was that Lynn loves her Taylor Swift. As do I, because there were so many random and different Taylor Swift references in this book. And sometimes I feel like when you mention a lot of random artists and like up-to-date things in books, it kind of like unsettles me just a little bit. But I feel as though Taylor Swift was mentioned in these books where it made sense and it wasn't overbearing. Like for example, in Betting on You, there's the part where Bailey has to get up and do karaoke and Charlie has to pick the song and he gives her All Too Well, the 10-minute version. I was like, light work, put me up there. That would have been so easy. But I literally screamed when I saw that part, and I thought that part was so cute and funny because that was a perfect song to pick. Like, I know that song word for word. There were some little remarks and sentences that were said that you wouldn't really know it was a Taylor Swift reference unless you're like a huge Taylor fan like I am. Like another one in Betting on You, there was a part where she said she's doing her eyeliner sharp enough to kill a man. Like, if you know, that's from Vigilante shit. Lynn loves her Taylor Swift, and I loved all the references in the book. Now, speaking of playlists again, another thing that I loved about all the books was that Lynn made a playlist for every single book, and I loved all the songs that she picked out, especially for Better Than the Movies. I put hearts around the ones that were my favorites, of course, like Paper Ring Taylor Swift, Lovers by Anna of the North. I forgot to mention that, but there's a part where she mentions that in the beginning of the book. And I love that song, obviously, from To All the Boys I Loved Before, that iconic hot tub scene. And I still listen to the song today. New Year's Day, Taylor Swift. I added 2 extra songs because for some reason, whenever I hear Photograph by Ed Sheeran, I just think of them. I don't know why. Like, it's not related, but then it is. And then, of course, I added In Between by Gracie Abrams. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right there. Because that song blew up on TikTok, and it's not even out yet. But it's like the perfect Liz and Wes song. I also feel like that song relates to Bailey and Charlie as well together. I don't know if anyone else thinks that, but I think that. Songs from the do-over that I loved: Let's Fall in Love by Phineas, New Romantics, Betty by Taylor Swift, Ready for It, It's the Last Great American Dynasty. Oh yeah, there's a part where she got the tattoo where it says, I had a marvelous time ruining everything. That was another huge Taylor Swift reference in the do-over that I loved. And I love that song from the album. Gold Rush, Everything Has Changed with Ed Sheeran. I also love how she put Taylor's Version after everything. Okay, Lynn, I see you. Lastly, one of my favorite playlists out of all 3 of them was this one, because she literally listed so many of my favorite artists ever. Ones I hearted are You're on Your Own Kid by Taylor Swift, All My Ghosts by Lizzie McAlpine. You already know. Carpet by Taylor Swift. And then she listed 2 songs from one of my favorite artists. I haven't mentioned him yet, but maybe I'll wear one of his shirts one day. And it's I Can't Be Your Friend by Aiden Bissett and All That I'm Craving by Aiden Bissett. And I love Aiden Bissett so much. So like literally saw that and I was like, okay, where is she knowing these songs? Because I love that one. But yeah, that is kind of all I have for this video. Once again, if you have not read these books yet, I genuinely think that you should, because they're all so good and they're all easy reads. If you liked today's video, I genuinely think that you should like and subscribe. And if you don't want to, then that's okay. I really enjoyed talking about these books. If you have read these books already, I would love to know your opinions on them and what you liked about the books as well. I will for sure see you guys in my next video. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!